Hi, everybody. This is Jason Eagle, your natural health authority with Healing Matters podcast. And my website is strategichealing.us and Jason Eagle QRA. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Facebook is Strategic Healing, all these different things. Today, we're going to talk about a lipoma. Lipoma, what are lipomas? Lipomas are Li, it stands for fat. So, like lipid, anything that's lipid, or when you're getting your lipid levels, that stands for fat. Okay. Lipoma typically are these, it's like a tumor, but it's a fatty tumor. Okay. Sometimes they are, you'll find them like little balls, so like little lumps. They are kind of movable. You'll see sometimes that you'll see a person get them on their shoulder. They're in between the muscle belly. They're not a cancerous tumor. A lot of times the doctors will say, well, just leave them alone. Don't cut them out unless they're causing pain or bothering something. They're inert. They don't do anything. Well, what is a lipoma? Where does it come from? Again, they call it a lipoma because it is a fatty. So when they do cut them out and then they dissect them and look at them, they just look like a glob of fat. So it has something to do with the fat metabolism. It has something to do with the fat that we're eating. Okay, so a lipoma is a fatty deposit underneath the skin, commonly the result of gross dietary imbalance over a long time of heated, damaged fats, especially fried fats, such as potato chips and other fried foods. Damaged fats. Okay, so you watch the old Crisco commercials or lard and stuff like that. The lard doesn't get damaged the same way as the vegetable fats do. It's canola oil. It's good, Jason. It's the corn oil. It's the mazola. This type of stuff. I've been watching a lot of old commercials, and back in the 70s and 80s, there was this big, let's change from the animal fats to these good fats, right? Which are no, they're not. They're bad. They're bad fats. Olive oil is a good fat. Typically, you don't deep fry with fats with olive oil. Peanut oil is another one that you can fry with. Sesame oil, but any of the fats. Now they can have different ones that, for instance, take higher temperature. Sesame oil takes a higher temperature. Corn oil, the vegetable oils. The cheapest, the worst are the vegetable oils that just regular old, what they call a vegetable oil, or Crisco, which is a hydrogenated vegetable fat. Okay, number one, they're bad when they're in the raw state, and when we get into things called like triglycerides and things like that. Okay, the real bad stuff are things that turn into what's called acrylamides, acrylics. So when you take fat, and if you've ever worked in a restaurant, you see that like on the grill or in the fat fryer, it literally turns into, acrylic is that stuff that you would put on like your wood floor, like that high gloss stuff, or acrylic would be, you can paint with acrylic. It's plastic. Acrylics form from these oils from the high heat. And these acrylics, or what's called acrylamides, are number one, they are cancer causing. They are very damaging to the health. They're a bad toxin. So when we eat fried foods, again, it damages the oil when you're bringing these oils up to a high temperature. I don't care if they say that the oils can go to a high temperature. It still damages the oils. And especially when you're talking with an old time fryer in a restaurant or something like that, that's been, again and again and again, it builds these things called acrylamides plus all these other different really, really bad chemicals. Okay. So what's happening is hi Dawn, there must be the fat, or the lipomas are the fact that you're eating these fats. These fats are damaging, they're already damaged, they're damaging your body, they're damaging your liver, they're building up in your liver, and the lipoma is most likely your body's some way of taking these toxins and putting them into basically a jail. They're sectioning them off and trying to protect your body, kind of like, with Superman when they put the what was it, the kryptonite, they put it in a lead box because he couldn't see through it, and also the waves couldn't go out, so it didn't damage him. But once you pulled it out, he lost his powers. Well, or putting it in a containment site, putting nuclear fuel into a containment thing and containment container. The lipoma must be some form of that. And because it's fat, and it's also a hint that you're damaging your fat metabolism, which that's your liver. Your liver gallbladder is fat metabolism. Metabolism is how you metabolize, metabolic, meaning you eat it, you turn it into energy. You take something, it goes inside your body. It's the fuel. So you would say a car is metabolizing gasoline. That's what it does. It metabolizes it, burns it, and some of it is available energy and some of it is a waste products. That's why what are scientifically called waste products are what's called metabolites. Metabolites are the leftover pieces from the chemical and electromagnetic living reactions of your body. Your body does this chemical electromagnetic living, and it creates, again, stuff that it keeps, stuff that it builds. So when you eat protein and you eat foods, your body doesn't just get energy off of it, it gets building blocks because it has to make new cells, it has to make new tissues. So it's building materials, okay? This is part of the metabolic process, okay? So metabolizing, what's called fat metabolism, is you must be able to metabolize fat, okay? Why is that so hard? Because you're mostly water. Oil and water do not mix. So you have a special organ in your body called the gallbladder. But the gallbladder is actually a holding tank for the bile. The bile is the special stuff. The bile is the special sauce that your liver creates, because your liver is a filter which cleans these products out of your body, chemicals as well as metabolites, basically the waste products. It's a filter that keeps it from circulating inside your body, and then sends some of it into your waste products organs, which would be your sweat, your poop, your pee, your exhale. All of these things are different forms of excrement, getting it out of your body. It has to go through your filters. Your liver is a filter, your kidney filter. Now, your liver being one of the largest organs in your body, it's the largest filter organ in your body, it has to clean itself out because it fills up, the sponge fills up, and it's like a sponge. So it has to, you don't have the ability of taking out of your body and sticking a new one, like an oil filter. When you go to get your oil change, they take that one out and then they put a new one in. Well, we were not made to have those things taken out. So we have to have some way of cleaning it ourselves. That's what bile is. Bile is the creation of your liver. It's a juice. It's actually a green liquid. It's a green juice. When it's healthy, it can actually be yellow, and it can actually turn black. Black bile is when it's really, really toxic. It's supposed to be liquidy. It's supposed to be shiny, but it can get thick and sludgy, and then it can eventually develop stones, okay, which then clogs up your gallbladder. So, but the normal functioning is you eat food, yum, 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 yum. You chew food, you eat some food, let's say good olive oil, or let's say some good animal fat, like some salmon or sardines or an avocado or a nut like cashews, okay? That has fat in it. Chew, 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 yum, yum, yum. Now it gets mixed with your body, your saliva, which is mostly water, and your body's mostly water. Your body has to have some way of taking this fat that's inside and getting it into the system. The way that it does that is it mixes some bile, squirts it into the food so that it gets churned around and gets mixed with the fat that's in there, and then is what's called an emulsifier. An emulsification, yes, Dawn says, you explain things so good, even if it's gross. Yes, even if it is gross, because that's what we are. But I'll explain it to you in a way, because the more you understand it, the more you know that little commercial. the better your head and your spirit and your health gets wrapped around it, because when you can see it, then you can picture it. And if you could picture what happens when you're eating that crappy French fry that's been fried in this oil again and again and again at a restaurant that don't change their oil. You watch any of these restaurant shows, you can see how horrific most places are. It's black, it's full of, rat feces and all kinds of other stuff. Like most places where the fryer is, let alone the acrylics and all the other chemicals that it's turned into, you wouldn't, suck on a tailpipe of a car because that'll kill you. However, if you could picture what's going on inside your body with these fats in particular, and fat is so important. So the bile mixes with it so that it turns the big globules into small globules so that it can then get into your cells, so that your brain looks like a walnut, exactly. And walnuts are good for your brain because your brain is walnut. It's fat. Okay, so the fat's, how's it going to get there? It's got to get there through your mouth. It's got to get through the bloodstream. But since oil and water doesn't mix, you have to have an emulsifier. And that's what's called the fat metabolism. The fat metabolism is the ability to get these things that neither the twain shall meet, but we are the scientific lab experiment that, you're a washing machine, but in reverse, right? Trying to get that oil, trying to suck the oil out of it so that the oil can then go to your joints, your skin, your brain, your eyes, your hormones. Everything is this oil. So again, getting back to a lipoma, how did these little fatty nodules that, again, like they say, well, we could cut them out, but we really typically don't like to cut them out if they're not bothering you. And because sometimes they see them go away, sometimes they get bigger and bigger. I knew a guy that had a big one on his shoulder, and it was called Mr. Ed. He named it. You'll have people that will name their lipomas. You have people that get lots of lipomas, and they do have to be surgerized because they're pushing on nerves and they cause pain. But again, how they got there. They got there because the fat was not being dissolved correctly, and you were eating too many of the bad fats. Okay. So certain infections of the liver, such as hepatitis, may also impair normal fatty acid metabolism and may induce a lipoma formation. Okay. So the other thing is that it can be our bad fat metabolism, but there can be other things that deposit or for instance, are attacking your organs. Viruses, and in particular the hepatitis viruses, they're hepatitis A, B, C, D, all of these other ones, there's different forms. They can attack the liver. Another thing that can be really, really hard on a liver that creates a condition called fatty liver, where you're starting to get these fat nodules inside your actual liver, is real common with people that drink lots of alcohol, people that are alcoholics. It's what's called the alcoholic liver. Conversely, it's rare, but I see it in my practice. And in fact, I helped a guy get out of a drunk driving thing because it was actually, if you have enough candida, basically if you have enough yeast, if you have enough yeast infection in your belly, and people that get the bloating and stuff like that, especially eating sugary things, they get the bloating. What does yeast do? That's what we make alcohol out of. Every alcohol known to man is some form of yeast fermenting a sugar, and it metabolizes the sugar, and it metabolizes it into alcohol and carbon dioxide is its waste products or its production. It eats it up and turns it into this. So if you have enough of a candida, you're going to produce alcohol in your body, even though you're not drinking. And then what will happen is now your liver will have to constantly detoxify the alcohol. And when it becomes overstressed by that, again, now keep in mind also people that also have bad fat metabolism and candida are probably eating lots of crap, a lot of fried foods and things like that. We're Americans, we eat tons of fried foods. Go to all over the world, people eat lots of fried foods. So put this on top of it, of a bad fatty metabolism. And what happens is the fat tends to build up. So how do you get rid of it? How do you get rid of a lipoma? How do you stop? It didn't just show up, you grew it. Okay. Now, maybe you have to have them surgically removed, but typically the surgeons like to say, we don't like to do that, especially if they're small and they're not really causing pain, because every time you cut open the body, you are risking infection. And I've known people that have had a lipoma removed and then got a MRSA infection, and then it rotted away that muscle, and they actually had to have that muscle cut out or that arm cut off and things like that. Okay, so it's not a good idea to get surgery unless you absolutely have to have it. Okay, so how do I dissolve it? How do I get rid of it inside my body? Okay, it is essential to detoxify the liver using premier coffee enemas. Okay, what are you talking about, Jason? Yes, coffee enemas is one of the best ways. Now, you can do milk thistle, you can do a whole bunch of other different herbs that are really good for the liver, but there's nothing like doing a coffee enema. Now, you can do regular enemas, and still Americans are really kind of like, what? I don't want to do that. Again, it's a good way to actually get, because again, where are the waste? If you're going to clean an organ out, where's it going to go? Is it just going to disappear in thin air? It's got to come out of your body somehow. And most of your waste products, you want them to go into the colon so that you can poop them out. And then also, because the colon, there's so many blood vessels in there. And again, you're trying to clean your blood out. Cleaning the liver means you got to clean your blood out. Now, when we do a coffee enema, what it does is the coffee, again, you're not drinking it. It's going up the other end. It goes into the colon. It's not a high colonic, so it's not going to go into your bloodstream that way where it goes in. It actually goes into this lower part, into the colon, to the bloodstream, which goes right straight to the liver. So the hepatic portal vein artery is directly connected to certain parts of the body, and there's a reverse connection to it, which is the highway to getting your liver to go getting your liver to go squeeze yourself out. If you saw it as a dirty sponge, or you fell down in the mud and you need to clean your sweater, and how do you clean the sweater? You got to wring it out and then put it in fresh water and wring it out and wring it out. You don't just spray water on it. If you spray water in it, you're actually forcing some of the dirt deeper into the fibers. That's the same thing with the liver. If you look at what the liver looks like, it looks like a sponge, and it looks like it's Swiss cheese almost. It's got little pores, and stuff can get stuck in there, even though the bile is supposed to kind of leach through there. So and you can't squeeze your liver. You can't reach in and squeeze your liver. You can squeeze your arm, you can squeeze your leg, you can squeeze a bunch of muscles, but your liver up underneath your rib cage, you really can't touch it. You can't massage it. So now you can through the diaphragm. That's another really good liver detoxification is, keep in mind, this is about lipomas. How do I stop growing these things? You've got to clean the liver out. You've got to clean the fat metabolism out. So the little jog and tramp, or even jogging and bouncing, but the little jog and tramp, the diaphragm is underneath the liver. It's right up underneath the liver. And as you go up and down in that little jog and tramp, you don't have to go big, super high. Just kind of bounce, bounce, bounce. What it does is it slaps against your liver. It literally pushes underneath your liver, because your liver is this huge organ that goes from side to side, and it's underneath your rib cage, right directly below your lungs are there too, but it's right directly below or above your diaphragm. Okay, so you can use your diaphragm to smack against it and squeeze. But again, the coffee enemas is really good in terms of being able to. There's a whole procedure. If you want to get a hold of me, Jason Eagle at strategichealing.us. You can get a hold of me. I can send you the documents, and you can buy the coffee, and it's not a big a deal as you think it is, but it's very liberating in terms of you feel clean afterwards. And it's a very powerful thing to start really cleaning out your gallbladder. Now go back to, that's something you can do. What should you stop doing if you got lipoma? Stop eating that fat. Stop eating potato chips. Stop eating fried food. Stop eating your fried chicken. You can still do some of those same things. Stop damaging your oils and get back to good oils. Now, there's other things too, like if you're not able to digest fats, okay? Emulsification of the congested fat in the liver can be done through lecithin powder. Lecithin powder is this powder that you can get, and you can mix it into smoothie, or you can mix it in some hot water. You can sprinkle it on your foods. and it's a very powerful emulsifier. And it will digest fats for you, but it will also leach into your body and digest the fat, that excess fat, and it will leach into your body and start pulling these lipomas and start shrinking them, getting your body, because the thing is where is this fat going to go? You're going to get your body to eat it up. First of all, stop hoarding it, stop putting more into it, and then going into a deprivation where your body's, because your body's not going to cut it out. Your body went in through the bloodstream, and that's where they formed, and then they have to shrink. So they got to go back into the bloodstream. But you got to give your body a reason. It had a reason to put them there in the first place. You got to give them the reverse reason. Well, now let me give you a reason to get rid of them. And by getting rid of that bad fat, by increasing the fat metabolism, or the emulsification. Limonene is another really good thing. It's this little orange oil that you can put 2 to 3 drops in with your water. And I recommend a person with lipoma does that, is that they do it through the diet, do it through the liver, the max stress B, or now the complete B. Hold on, I'm going to take a little sip of water. Is good because B vitamins. Okay, B vitamins. Most of your B vitamins are actually formed. A lot of them are formed in your gut, but they're formed in your liver and used in your liver. And B6, the complete B, is actually very high in B6. There's another formula called, these are Premier Research Labs products, called the Gallbladder ND. It's very high in B6, plus it has another thing called nanized gold coin and some of these other liver detoxifiers. But B6 and choline are the things that make your bile liquidy. When you run out of B6, when you don't have enough B vitamins and you don't have enough of the B6 and choline, the bile production, meaning your liver that makes the bile, the factory that makes it, instead of it making a nice liquid, it turns it into molasses. So it's actually making it thick and sludgy. So that's what we want to do, is not only clean it out, but we want to return it back to its original state, which is stop making such a crappy product. Make a premium product again, which is nice, liquidy, green, shiny bile that cleans your body out and will clean these lipomas out and will stop them from forming, stop them from growing. A lot of times we also see, anytime, always keep in mind, there's a lot of different cysts that form in the body. There's demoid cysts, there are ganglion cysts, there are the lipomas, which would be like a cyst. What made these things form? There's a lot of research on this, and again, empirical evidence in terms of when you treat people this way, a lot of these things go away. Alicidin, which is garlic, that treats a bacterial infection and a whole host of other, including viral stuff. A lot of these tumor things are actually at the center. It's a virus or it's a bacteria. It's an infection. And your body is building a mass around it to basically keep it there and don't let it spread. But also sometimes too, your body is growing that mass because the thing that's living inside there is creating a home, creating a mass. And then your body builds protein around it to try and keep it there. Okay. But then it also creates a bigger home for it. So we kind of get stuck in this kind of catch-22. So a lot of times what gets rid of a lot of the cysts, and in particular the lipomas, are some of these very powerful anti-infectives of the great, just natural broad spectrum anti-infectives of garlic. Alicidin by Premier Research Labs it's because the thing that's really powerful in garlic and onions is what's called allium. Allium or alicidin, allicin is basically it's the infection fighting powerful thing. So what they do is they extract the allicin out of it, and then they can provide it with some other powdered forms of this very, very powerful garlic called bear garlic. Wild bear garlic, or the German wild bear garlic. Super powerful, super strong, like one clove would knock you on your butt. And so these are put in these capsules. The nice thing about the allicin is that, or the alicidin, is that it doesn't make you burp garlic. Some people do a little bit, but it's worth it to get rid of this stuff. But for the most part, it's very well tolerated, and you can take many capsules of it, which would be the equivalent of like more garlic in a day than you could possibly ever eat. But you can take them in these capsule forms. And so it gets this into the bloodstream and it starts to kill these things, thereby killing the reason for your body growing these things. Okay. Seems kind of basic, but as complicated things are very, very basic too. Okay. So the allocidin, then there's another one in terms of for other more of the viral components. Check back on my previous video I called the antiviral diet, which is high lysine, low arginine. This would always help. But there's another thing called Immunoven or olive leaf. Immunoven has olive leaf, and then there's Premier Research Labs also makes another one called just straight olive leaf. They're very similar. But Immunoven and olive leaf target viruses. They target all kinds of microbes and other things like that, other living different types of things. But in particular, the viruses respond to that in terms of it stops them from growing. It kills them. Now, again, virus is not the same thing as bacteria. You're not necessarily really killing them. What you're doing is yes, you're just stopping them from replicating, stopping them from just keep going blah, 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 and forming the Borg and then infecting other cells. So kind of, cutting it off at the pass, nipping in the bud. That's a good antiviral protocol. Okay. Elderberry, the sambucus is also another thing that's really good for virus. Why do I keep talking about these infection stuff when you talk about so many things? Because what's growing in your body, whether it be the plaque, whether it be a tumor or it be, a growth of some sort, even if it's a lipoma, which is, I don't worry about them. We don't, the doctors basically say, we don't know why people do this. It just does. And for the most part, if it ain't bothering you, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just leave it there, And I know it's annoying to you, but a lot of times you just see them go away. Okay. A lot of times you see them don't go away. You see them get bigger and spread. And I've seen people covered in lipomas. Okay. But again, how did it get there? If it's a lipoma, it's a fatty deposit. So it got from the broken down fat metabolism. Okay. Got to fix that. The intestinal support. This is the probiotics. A lot of people do not have good intestines. And again, if you grew it, it came through your guts and then went into there. So probiotics is a very good thing in terms, especially if we have some of this infection type of thing. All infection is in the gut. It all starts in the gut. It ends in the gut. Probiotics are the good guys, and we want to get the good guys in there. Cleanse Blend, or the psyllium, which has some slippery elm and some other stuff. It just helps you have really good poop. But it also, the psyllium psyllium is an indigestible fiber that acts like a sponge and a magnet to suck different things, especially waste products. And it gets you to actually poop more, makes your poops better, and it gets you to poop more. And so if you're trying to get that lipoma out of your body, like I said, you're not just going to have it evaporate. It has to be pooped out. It's got to be able to get back into the bloodstream and go into that system to then be taken out of the body, right? So encouraging, that's why the gallbladder or the coffee enemas, but also just having a person on a good, not necessarily laxative, but the psyllium is a good thing that makes you go more, but it also is an attractant that in your stool, so your stool fills up with more of these bad toxins scavenged from your body, from your cells. And that's the answer to getting this stuff out of there. Local detoxification. Okay. Now, let's say it's on your shoulder. Let's say it's on your arm. I see people get in their forearms and stuff like that. Sometimes they can grow on a tendon and they can be attached to a tendon. Okay. So local, is there something that I can rub on this? Yes. What you do is Premier Research Labs makes the neem oil and the limonene oil. You mix a few drops of it together and apply locally to the lipoma and cover it with gauze overnight for several nights. Okay. You can do this also for a wart and other things like that. But these growths, okay, that are under the skin. The limonene actually, because it is an emulsifier, remember I talked about taking it dietarily, it's able to permeate through cellular membranes, especially the fat. It gets through, and your skin has fat in it, and that fat that's in there. Now, neem it's in India, what's called the toothbrush tree. So there's a lot of toothbrushes that are using neem because it kills infection. But truth be told, neem does everything. There are many Ayurvedic. Ayurvedic is the oldest form of medicine in the world. It predates Chinese and Japanese. Ayurvedic is Indian. And as far as their medical books, they go back 10,000 years. They were the first ones to do surgery. They mapped out these meridians that the Chinese and the Japanese and other use, that's the electromagnetic map of the neurology, which still stands true with what we know modern-wise. So Ayurvedic is the earliest, and they still use lots of herbs. The master herb in Ayurvedic is neem, and there are some Ayurvedic doctors that's all they use. Different parts of the plants, and it can be used for everything, okay? It takes pain away. The reason that they use it in toothbrush or toothpicks or mouthwash or something like that is because it kills that bacteria that forms the caries, which is the one that makes the plaque and the dental decay. Also gingivitis, it's used to kill the anaerobic ones. So neem is this broad spectrum. Not only does it kill the things, it cuts off their blood supply, but gives new blood supply to your healthy cells. It encourages the growth of new healthy cells so it feeds the good stuff and kills and starves the bad stuff. It's a miracle. It's almost as if it was designed by a genetic engineer, because it is. That's what God did. God created the answers out there. Our world is out there, created exactly. And the more we understand how wonderful this is and how smart we are and how smart creation is and how it thought of everything, okay? But we got to get connected to it. We got to find it. So putting this little gauze on there, letting it overnight, you'll see the lipoma will reduce because it's able to get in through the skin, and the anti-infective nature, if there's any infection in there, plus the lemony dissolves the fat. It will dissolve the actual fat and get it to kind of leach into the bloodstream so that it can be carried outside of your body. Your body doesn't really want it there. It put it there for a reason. It's not broken. Everything your body does is for a reason. You just don't understand it. It's not dumb and it's not broken. It's just doing something. Okay. Then we can also do another thing. Castor oil packs. Castor oil packs is another topical thing. I think on my website I have some instructions. You can always go on YouTube and look up there's a whole bunch of different videos on how to do castor oil packs. Use the cotton flannel, you put it on that. So you can put the castor oil pack directly on, you use the heat pack and stuff like that. And it's very nice. It's very soothing. You can put it directly on the lipoma area. But here's the other thing. Where would you put a castor oil pack? You put them on the liver, because keep in mind, we're trying to fix the liver and the intestines. So the liver, you would make a castor oil pack and you would put it, so you standing up here, you put it underneath your rib cage, basically underneath the breast, and it's from side to side. If we're putting it on the intestines, it's from hip to hip over your belly. And you make the castor oil pack in 3 layers, the cotton flannel, and then you put it on there and you let it sit there with a hot pack over it for an hour or multiple hours, okay? And then take it off, wash yourself off, or just rub the castor oil in, put the castor oil pack back into a bag, and you can reuse it again and again, right? Castor oil packs, again, they do a direct detoxification. I've seen them reduce tumors. I've seen them shrink all kinds of tumors, not just a lipoma. Castor oil packs, and again, because castor oil is an oil, and oil will like, right? Oil will attack oil. It will replace. So essentially, a lipoma means you need an oil change. You got too much of this bad junk poison oil, and you got to stop it, and then you got to get it out of your body. Okay. So, and again, it's got to come out. Now, the castor oil packs can actually pull it out directly, but what it more so does is it forces it into the organs in that area and essentially pumps those organs. So it pumps the liver. A castor oil pack stimulates the functioning of any organ that it's on. So it stimulates the function of the liver when you put it on the liver. It stimulates the function of your intestines when you put it on your intestines. You can also put it on your back, right over your kidneys. Those are the most common places that castor oil packs are done. And anytime people is dealing with any type of condition, you always want to lurk on the liver, intestines, and kidneys. These are your factories. These are where it all has to come through and go through. These are the things that run the show. Okay. So keep in mind, any condition, what do I do? Always, you could always do a castor oil pack. You could always do a liver detox. You could always do something to detox the kidneys, drink up the kidneys. What's the best thing for kidneys? Water. Okay. Here's another thing that we see when you have bad fat metabolism is people tend to be very dehydrated and they don't drink water. Let's remember, water is your number one source of fuel. The hydrogen that is in water, what is hydrogen? H2O, that's water. Hydrogen as a atom, that's rocket fuel. It's the most explosive thing known in the universe. It's the thing that holds the most energy. The very first element on the periodic table of elements is the most powerful. It's not the weakest one. It's because it has one electron doesn't mean that it's the most powerful. Hydrogen is the most powerful. It actually is the most what's called essentially geometrically and electromagnetically perfect. Okay, that's why it stores so much energy. And so when we drink water, we're not only hydrating, but you are a fusion. Your body is a fission and fusion reactor. You break things apart in order to release energy. You take energy and you squash it together in order to make things. E equals MC squared. That's what your body is. I know this is far afoot from the lipoma, but again, you can dissolve the lipoma by washing it away with more water, but also speeding your body's fuel up, your internal fuel. You can melt it. You can melt the bad fat in your body by increasing your thermal energy. You can basically make yourself hot. What's the best way to make yourself hot? Sure, you can do a sauna. Sure, you can do exercise, but water. The hydrogen that's in water actually produces more energy. And people will tell you this, that drink a lot more water. They don't need to eat as much. Their body temperature regulation is better. They feel better and they feel more energy. And if you're sensitive enough, you feel energy from water. Watch. Good water. You do. If you're paying attention, whoa, there's a little burst of energy right there. And then it just keeps growing and growing. Water is the cure-all to so many things. Let's remember that. But it also cleans your kidneys out. It cleans your liver out. It washes your body. And it's our number one source of energy. So, till next time, this is Jason Eagle, your Natural Health Authority. Thank you for listening and paying attention and sharing and liking, and share this information to your friends and community and family. Remember, be strong, be healthy, be happy, and be the head, not the tail, right? The ones with wisdom. Wisdom is everything. Wisdom is everything. Bye-bye.